I bless you all. Let you all open all your three eyes and manifest the powers of Mahasadashiva. Om Nityananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om Nitya.
So, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and I'm the convener for this presentation. The title of our presentation is Methodologies and Strategies for Sustainable Mental Health.
Recording in
Holistic
progress.
Mind-Body Approach. Again, my name is Peter Bloomfield, and I'm an emergency physician. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work in academia, and I work in the community as an emergency physician, and I'm also here representing Kailasa Nityananda Hindu University. And we're very excited to give this presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have Dr. Muktananda, who's an AI expert, is going to give an intro to mental health. Followed by that, I'm going to be giving a talk on studies that have been done on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pendle, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing anesthesiologist, who's connected with Nityananda Meditation Academy, are going to be giving a talk on neuroscientific approach to mental health, and then a discussion about some lifestyle aspects that support positive mental health and higher consciousness. Then we're going to have another experience of pranayama, like a breathing exercise with Dr. Muktananda, and then he's going to give a lecture called Sustainable Mental Health and AI, talking about how that'll be really nice. So it should be a very enriching and enlightening experience for everyone, and we're very happy to have you here. Briefly, this Science Summit is geared at how we can bring new scientific innovations to help the UN achieve its sustainable development goals. We picked goal number 1, no poverty, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Really, if you look at the sustainable development goals, enhancing mental health will really help assist in achieving almost all of them. So we feel strongly that the work that we have and what we're bringing forth can help the UN achieve its goals and really bring a lot of positive mental health and well-being work. And I'm going to posit that the cost of less than optimal mental health is so much higher in terms of lost potential. And that if we really optimize people's mental health in a very comprehensive way, the benefit will be much beyond 2.5 trillion or 5 trillion.
Mental health webpage. Essentially, mental health is a state of well-being where we are able to cope with life's daily challenges, have great relationships on a daily, regular basis, learn to work well, have a successful career. And one aspect of mental health that is very often neglected is realized 2019. WHO predicts that half of everyone in the world at some point before they reach the age of 75 will experience mental health issues. And that is a huge number, right? That goes into the billions. And those in poverty are 2.5 times more likely to be affected compared to others. And this really says that mental health needs to start from, needs to address everybody, and it affects the disadvantaged people the most. When we normally think of treating mental health, the traditional approach tends to be very much focused on treatment, which is after the fact and super expensive. And it tends to focus on emotional, prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should handle the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about, have an entire session on how to address the mind-body system. Instead of just controlling thoughts, address beliefs. I think transforming our beliefs from life negative cognitions to life positive cognitions. This is so critical. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a bit. And finally, instead of thinking of next slide, please. See, powerful cognitions go beyond positive thinking. They go towards transforming our beliefs. Many of us tend to grow up with very limited view of ourselves, not due to our own, confirmed by research. Scientific research has shown that some people can achieve something like this, which no ordinary person would think of themselves as capable of, but we are capable of extraordinary things. So a powerful cognition would be something that alters how you see yourself. Like the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism said, we are not human beings striving for a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings enjoying a human experience. If you look at yourself that way as a spiritual being, then you don't think of yourself
through this university. This has been reawakened through our chancellor, who I'm going to talk about in the next slide. And this offers thousands of free programs online to the global community. There's a large, diverse team of faculty, campuses all over the world, and many, many millions of people have benefited from the teachings of all the people that are living there. He's also revived many dimensions of Hinduism, the powers of Paramashiva, the scriptures, temple rituals, and lifestyles for enlightened living. Has revived the Sacred Arts University that has created 1 million deities for enlightenment ecosystems to use worldwide. And there's more than 16,000 Kailasa ecosystems functioning that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully address mental health have started to look at a mind-body system. And we'll be talking about it a little bit later about things like the biome and the physical structures of how the mind and body interact and the brain and body interact. And then we're positing that it also can extend to consciousness, and that how we experience our mental health is going to be a reflection of our mind and our body and our. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cellular effects of mind-body intervention. So this was a 3-week program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji. Involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about, but at the system-wide level will show up as stress and disease. Many of these pro-inflammatory pathways were down-regulated. And when I say down-regulated, it means like 2 to 7-fold in reduction of the proteins, of the gene products. And then the anti-inflammatory pathways advances in aging. The follow-up study was published in a journal called the Journal of Stem Cells. And based on the first study, they said, let's look at telomerase activity and let's look at peripheral blood stem cells. Telomerase is an enzyme that works to keep the cell genetically young. Many people know about telomeres. It's been very much talked about in the surrogate for cellular viability, which is specifically a product of mitochondrial metabolism. So mitochondria are the organelles inside the cell that create power for the cell, energy for the cell. And so their metabolism was increased. This is actually not a typo. You see it's 967%. It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism. So you would expect that to show up in a massive surge of energy. So when you put together at the cellular level, a huge surge in energy, combine that with anti-aging, rejuvenation, and then reduction in stress. Now we looked at how does that show up at the level of looks at mindfulness, which is your ability to be present, right? Everyone is talking about mindfulness and being in the present moment. So we wanted to measure all these things in people before and after the program. Some of the people in the program had already done similar programs and taken the initiations, and some people were new. So it was a combination. It was a convenient sample because it's through an online program, and then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. For the participants, it went basically from 4 to 2. So very, very far from anxious. Even before the program, people were better than the US average in terms of anxiety, which again may reflect their previous initiations and their connection with this enlightenment ecosystem and this mind-body approach. But afterwards, even greatly reduced. And stress as well went from 4 to 2 or 5 to 3. Over 14 is stressed, and the US average is 8. You can see all these graphs on the left. You can see the line graphs is the pair, really, really profound. And you can see again, if you look at the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really the line graph and the bar graphs, everything's just going up. So really a profound sense of well-being from participating in this program, and both statistically significant and clinically significant from participating in this program, and both statistically significant and clinically significant. The SF36, this is a very complex scale. It gets started off at 4.29 or 4.25, so almost at the level of a Zen meditator at the beginning. And again, this may reflect some people were already involved with this lifestyle, which supports a sense of mindfulness. But at the end, it went all the way up to 4.8, 4.65. So a huge jump. The paired analysis just missed statistical significance. The p-value is 0.51. The trend, I think, speaks for itself. But the unpaired analysis was statistically significant. So again, we see an increase in mindfulness. So then the question becomes, what are these programs? What is special about these programs that's bringing these really remarkable changes? They found complete control over brainwave activity. He could just control his brainwaves at will. There was another doctor, a neuroscientist named Acosta Urquida from Sound Health Designs in Wichita, and this was in 2005 and 2006. And they measured studied. Then this is the one that I think is most fascinating. There's a Dr. William Collins. This was done in 2005 in St. Louis. He's a neurofeedback researcher who was looking at EEG. And he noticed when he got a baseline reading, he kept changing the probes and changing the settings because he said there's almost no activity on the EEG as baseline. Means when he was sitting there in a calm state, the brain was just completely quiet. Again, their whole brain of that person would go into a high gamma activity. So we're positing that this is how an EEG of initiation looks. When a being who has attained this state of consciousness, which I'm calling as a super consciousness, that's a goal of Vedic traditions, yogic traditions, Hinduism, and they transmit it to someone they're healing or a disciple, which is a very specific kind of gamma wave that's almost never seen. So real quick primer on brainwaves. Brainwaves is the measurement of the electrical activity in the brain through an EEG, which is like an EKG for the brain, electroencephalogram. You can see delta waves are very low frequency waves from 0.5 to 4 hertz on the bottom left. This is like when you're see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude up and down high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer can calculate them. And they've been shown traditionally in everyone's brain a little bit. When people have a stroke of insight, like the light bulb goes off, there'll be a little flash of gamma activity, but just for a second, and only when that insight strikes, which you can't bank on, right? It's like it can also be created through spiritual activities and mind-body interventions. The last group I'll talk about is long-term meditators. These were Tibetan Buddhists that have been meditating for 10 to 20 years, like their whole lifestyle was meditation. Like monks that would meditate for 6 hours a day, or a huge amount of meditation. This came out in 2004 by Dr. Davidson in Wisconsin, a really breakthrough publication. When they would go into a oneness and compassion meditation, they could go into sustained gamma. That's the only other time that I'm familiar outside of Swamiji and what I'm going to talk about that we've seen sustained gamma. But it was in long-term meditators while they were deep in meditation, are developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness, very high level of consciousness that correlates with concepts of enlightenment that have been talked about throughout history. This level, this capacity can be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of so I see this as progression in their capacity to reflect this state of consciousness in their spiritual growth. And so they would do this by this possibility of really powerfully enhanced mental health and intense states of bliss and higher consciousness. The yogic science consciousness. The yogic science, basically, you'll develop good mental health on the road to enlightenment. Good mental health on the road to enlightenment is how the yogic science works. Lifestyle, how the yogic science works. Lifestyle, sattvic diet and fasting later. Another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs. Puja is a ritualistic.
Thank you, Dr. Peter. What I wanted to say here is that Dr. Bloomfield talked so much about that. Dr. Bloomfield talked so much about the state of space where you have fewer and fewer thoughts. That's fewer thoughts per second, and he showed quite a few brain scans. Brain scans which actually denote that kind of a state, right? So there is a meditation.
Nothing can be compared to the unclutching. I'll just put the whole unclutching in one line. Listen. Decide not to extremely powerful will persist in you. Nothing can be. That is fighting, engaging all thought process, clutch from all thought process. Just sit.
So you would see that. So just close your eyes. We're going to play music for a little bit, and then just keep.
Are you able to hear it now?
No.
How about now?
of us. Awesome. One of the things that you would have noticed is while you're unclutching is your mind gets disengaged. As your mind gets disengaged from thoughts, we tend to listen to the outside sounds more clearly, like bell chiming or people talking, cars going by. That's a positive sign.
And I will be sharing a little bit about findings on neuroscience in depression, as well as positive findings in lifestyle measures such as yoga and meditation. So next slide. So the brain, and Dr. Pandav will be talking about the role of the gut-brain axis. So it turns out not only the brain is important, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle. Many studies have been done on depression, looking actually at the brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy or loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others. So move on to the next slide. So what has been really, in a way, groundbreaking is that initially we thought that brain cells, we have a limited number of brain cells or neurons, and once they're gone, they're gone. But it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new emotional awareness, processing of language and speech, as well as empathy. So being able to empathize with others and relate to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that. And these are enhanced with increased amount of brain cells in yoga practitioners. Very interestingly, there's an area of the brain called the amygdala, and this is involved in processing fear pathways. This is sometimes called it's a important part of our prevention, and controlling the autonomic nervous system, such as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, hippocampus, temporal lobe, anterior cingulate striatum. These are also involved in emotional processing, some of these areas. Very interesting decision-making, learning, and memory, and also the ability to monitor ourselves, to know what's happening within us. And interestingly, I also wanted to mention that in yoga practitioners, they've looked at yoga practitioners over their lifespan. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well. The dopamine is the brain chemical responsible for the feeling of pleasure or reward. Interesting, and they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed. And the GABA activity was boosted basically to the same level as people who were healthy and who did not have depression. So this is all very promising findings. You can move on to the next slide. I'll invite Dr. Pandav to discuss the next few slides.
So Dr. Pandav will discuss these slides quickly, and then we'll have a very short video and short discussion to follow. Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, and least amount of unprocessed food and meat. So this is what whole food plant-based diet is. We also call it Sattvic diet. So what essentially this diet does is diseases and as well as the autoimmune diseases. So in nutshell, basically the healthy microbiome is caused by whole food plant-based diet. Next slide. The video.
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
The video.
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole foods reduce. Yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole foods reduce inflammation, carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. Fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood, and as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
Biomemory. So when the animals are killed, they leave a tremendous pain, suffering. They are not going to say, let the whole world be blissful and die. No. They leave so much of suffering and die that gets recorded in that muscle memory and biomemory. When you eat that, you will fall into depression for a small reason. Your husband late from the office for 5 minutes is enough to make him as a late husband. 5 minutes is enough to make him as a late husband. Understand?
Are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable. And objective scientific information now is available showing that yoga and meditation actually expands parts of the brain which are vital for mental health. And the plant-based diet also improves that brain-gut chemistry to improve. Discuss how the Hindu lifestyle practices that Swamiji is promoting have made an impact in our mental well-being. And so maybe if we'd like to go ahead and start, maybe Dr. Bandav can talk about what is Nirahara Samyama and how his experience that he's had with that.
Sure. I always practice whole food plant-based diet, but through Swamiji, I came to know about Nirahara Samyama, which is really a step above that. So essentially, to a deep level, in the sense that you're not doing meditation, it is kind of happening to you. So it's a different state to be in. And I found this to be amazingly powerful technique. I think, Dr. Shachi, you may have also gone through this, and you can add further.
Yes, yes, definitely. I have done the Nirahara Samyama a few times, and this was something that's completely new to me. I think only Swamiji talks about this.
Shivaji had an experience that she maybe would like to share about Nirahara Samyama.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Shivaji, did you have an experience you wanted to share?
I think you're muted, Ma. Dr. Shivaji, you're muted.
Sorry. So sorry about it. So it's other than the other benefits of what you have said, mental clarity, and you're more happier and more lighter and all that. What happened was I used to get every summer allergic reactions. So when I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergic.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I know there's so much more to talk about. We're going to talk about Aushadas, Harataki, a very powerful detox herb that Swamiji has recommended for us. And then Nitya Yoga is a yoga that conceived by Swamiji that has 12 components, 12 aspects of yoga, which is very...
But we can try a couple of pranayama techniques that can work for you. And these are simple techniques that can cool us down, make us like reduce the anxiety, de-stress us. And so I'm going to teach you a couple of pranayama techniques which will be actually useful later when we go further in this program. So simple technique is called Shitali Pranayama, and references are given here. These are all, it really cools you down to the point like you'll actually feel your body temperature go down by a couple of degrees. How many of you feel that deep cooling happening in your chest. You actually feel it there, right there. It's such an instantaneous, it works instantaneously, and you also see your mind is calmed down. Of 10, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close your left nostril and breathe out through your right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now breathe in through your right nostril again. Okay. Let's move on to the last technique. The last technique is called Brahmari Pranayama. It's an amazing technique to clear your mind of anxiety-inducing thoughts. And Swamiji has given this reference. And this reference, you can go search for it online. It's a humming meditation. Essentially, what you do is you hum. Typically, you have to close your eyes, nose, and mouth, and you will start feeling in the center of your forehead. You will start feeling a constant buzz, and that buzz will start clearing out all the thoughts in your mind. Right? It's a very beautiful technique that just flushes negative thoughts and anxiety from your head and just fills it with the hum that is pure thought, nothing else, right? Let's try doing this for a few times. Done together, they actually have very powerful medicinal, I won't say medicinal, it's a very powerful effect in cooling the body, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. Wait till then to hear a little bit more, but you can, who suffer more often from mental health issues, that like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access such resources. At least one thing that everyone needs, like people need a spiritual solution for mental health. And if you think about it, an everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis, but maybe even answer bigger spiritual questions, right? And one thing that everybody or most people have at their fingertips are low-cost phones nowadays. Probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example. And the beautiful thing is conversational AI can actually help address a wide variety of mental health needs. I want to say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. Amazing resource that is available to everyone. This uses the entire spiritual resources of the world, especially the teachings of Swamiji. Swamiji is essentially teaching the fundamentals of enlightenment science, or the science of happiness, as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access. You is under your control. Being integrated is all about being integrated to your thoughts and actions. Enriching is about making sure others are in this state of enlightenment along with you. And completion is what I defined before, right? So it uses these principles to help walk through someone who thinks they are a bad mother because they're not. I'm just highlighting the different areas. The next question about someone saying, my sister and I are grown up. Whenever I ask my sister to spend time with me, I feel disappointed, and she wants to do things that are different from me. What do I do? So this now addresses how to think about this in a self-reflective way. How to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you techniques for de-stressing? And it chooses techniques from scriptures and shares them with you. Anyway, that's the quick demo. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, now I hand it over to Dr. Prema Kodanraman to talk about women's issues.
Good evening, friends. 7% of young women report having self-harming at some point. If you look at here from 2008 to 2022, the incidence of mental illness among women is increasing. It's pretty alarming. Mental health issues can affect anyone, but causes to women are very unique. Hormonal changes during menstruation, pregnancy, postpartum, and menopause can significantly affect mood and mental health. Look at the modern day treatments of mental illness. Women seeking treatment to treat their mental illnesses are increasing, like 55.8%. It's a pretty expensive program, spending about $104 billion US dollars a year and 217 million days of work lost. It's a big loss of work, and more women are seeking help but failed outcome. The treatment methods are making people dependent on medication. It becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment and medication, but the end results are not permanent cure, and it doesn't address the mental disorders, and usually it's only the symptom relief. The $1 trillion brain drain, that's not sufficiently addressing the mental disorders. And other treatments like brain stimulation can be used in special situations, proven results by empowering women. So when we go into the depth of the empowering methods before, so let's read this very powerful verses from Manuvati Dharma Shastra and Swamiji making a foundation in Kailasa, bringing the ancient Hindu wisdom, reviving the ancient Hindu wisdom and creating a Kailasa with various projects empowering women. Let's look at details about each level, how this empowering happening in the Kailasa. These policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra, and Swamiji revived matrilineal society to empower it, and along with spiritual and psychological support and counseling to all women. So over 10 billion US dollars have been invested in women's health at Kailasa. This is very impressive, and again, a spiritual wellness ordains women and allows women to perform temple rituals. This is the real true reviving of the ancient Hindu tradition. So there are 108 free educational economic projects are functioning at Kailasa since 2009. Here are some 5, the most important I'm mentioning here. The Kailasa Yananda Lakshmi, the world's first Hindu microfinance project for women. Here it gives the economic freedom to find employment. Kailasa's Ankita program is an educational program. So it's mostly educate female child and women to empower them. And Nityananda's Women Foundation, it helps. The next slide.
Only feminine.
Yeah, I think it's a video to be played. Let's hear from Swamiji, his powerful message and a description of a woman by him.
Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women, it would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs. All the basic needs would have been supplied to the whole world.
Bringing the best within them, like leadership, stability, powerfulness, and divinity. And from my personal experience, I have like 14 years of medical education and practicing for 25 years of women care and being there in women during their most sensitive time, pregnancy, delivery, taking care of all age group of women. I want to share only after being part of the group of women, I want to share only after being part of the Kailasa, multiple initiations from Swamiji, the multi-dimension of myself that we realize, and also that I want to give a true statement here to all the ecosystem created by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Paramahamsa Nityananda. And it's a great coincidence that Navaratri festival is coming. It's an annual Hindu festival. We celebrate Divine Mother energy for 9.
Listen to this sacred secret. Listen. Initially, when you put this idea into you, you will have too much of resistance, anger, guilt, fear, too many things coming out, and powerlessness. No, this is not for me. First of all, this may not be true, tell you. If you sit with mirror and chant Mahavakya and do completion, you will see me in the mirror, then all your patterns are complete. Till you see me in the mirror, do completion with the mirror. Your form will disappear and my form will appear there. Till then, sit in front of mirror and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I am giving to all of you. Appear in the mirror and make you complete and make you manifest powers. When I say, I mean, just sit in front of the mirror and declare simple integrity to me. Start chanting Mahavakya and remember this powerful cognition, today's cognition appearing.
Now we invite Dr. Patel to come talk about children and mental health issues.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sailesh Patel. I'm a psychiatrist practicing in California. So, as adult and women, children also have unique challenges for mental health. And we have the next slide. So, I have here some of the unique challenges for children, which includes physical, emotional, and social changes, adversities such as poverty, abuse, exposure to violence, pressure to conform with peers, exploration of identity, and so forth. So, can we have next slide? So, based on this alarming number, we know that conventional approach have not been enough to address the other consciousness-based approaches which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation, and sattvic diet. Swamiji had given details how this Hindu education system promotes freedom to explore and be creative, and not force children into strict curriculum, nor evaluate them for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor skills, development, neurological functioning, and level of whole brain activation. This test is divided in two phases. First phase or copy phase, students are first asked to copy 12 images of various complexity. This copy phase reflects the student's visual motor intelligence and maturity. In second phase, recall phase, which is recall phase, students need to remember all the images of previously drawn without seeing them. The recall fell into category of genius and very high superior intelligence, IQ score of 120 and above. So it shows very impressive numbers. Next category, intellectual maturity compared to exact age. And average intellectual age was 2.7 years ahead of chronological age, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. And I'm going to very quickly do our conclusion. Thank you so much to everyone who's made it all the way through and who's interested in researching this possibility, this phenomena that I think is available here in ways it's not been described otherwise. We invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research findings, and all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings, and we're very sure the orgy. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone, to contact us to see how we can bring this to the world to attain and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals and bring higher possibilities of mental health and overall life and potential to the global community. So with that, thank you so much for everyone who came. If you're able to stay, we invite you to stay for our kriya, which will be led by Dr. Mukta Ananda.
Please play.
The science of kriyas.
Blood flow, breathing air flow, thought flow. You have something called energy flow continuously happening in you. In this energy circulation, energy flow, if there is a disturbance in some part, for example liver, kidney or heart, intestine, at some part, if there is a disturbance,
Different parts of the body. Let us take the example of a water tank. A water tank is a structure which stores water. This water is distributed to different places through the pipelines, which forms a circuit. The pipelines end in outlet taps, through which the water reaches the end users. Similarly, the Kundalini energy reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say for Kundalini energy, just as the water gets pumped in to the pipeline once the block is removed. When the energy flow is re-established, energy starts flowing and the disease is healed. Pranayamas and kumbhakas, wherein they are more effective, and the individual asanas and pranayamas.
even for few seconds, if the energy these kriyas are my unique contributions to the world. The kriyas have 7 ingredients. 1, yoga. 2nd, kumbhaka, pranayamas. 3rd, visualizations. 4th, verbalization, means chanting of some mantra internally. See, internally when you create the sound, is yogic body. I am using all the 7 ingredients to create yogic body for you.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah. Do we have that in the slide?
This is the last slide, Mukta.
Okay. I think we need to bring that picture, if somebody can add that picture to the slide. I've taught you unclutching like before. We started off the session with it. I taught you that alternate nostril breathing, and I taught humming. Now we're just going to put them all together into one long kriya meditation. That's super simple. So let's get started. Peter, you can play the music. And let's start by doing Nadi Shodhana, which is close your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril, and breathe out through your right nostril. Then breathe in through your right nostril, and then breathe out through your left. Do this 21 times. hum intensely. Just like we said before, just hum intensely sitting in this posture. Let's do this for a few minutes. You can play the music too, Peter. Thanks. The intense, you will feel the intense humming, the coolness all over your body. Just lie down. Surface level. I mean, there is a lot of depth to the meditation, mind, body, consciousness studies. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you, so you can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day.
United Nations going forward. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.